Hey guys, Guro Jee Choi of Floro Fighting Systems. Okay, so I got this finally in my hand with permission from Nate to do the review. Shout out to my brother Laci Szabo for getting this out to me super fast. Thank you again, brother. Shout out to my brother Sifu Nate, who this belongs to, and he gave me the permission to do the review before he gets this in his hand. Nate, thanks again, brother. Laci, thank you for everything. So let's get on with the review, shall we? Okay, so since I got the Hawk out of the sheath, let's talk about its features. It features this unique head that terminates at one point. You see how the blade grind terminates at one point right there? That is going to cause such a devastation on whatever it makes contact with, because the kinetic energy built from your swing on your typical attack or shot placement, once that kinetic energy is focused onto one point like that, and when it's in contact with the material, it will cause such a destruction on it that it's not normally possible with any other weapon. Even with the same category weapon such as other Tomahawks won't do that, because unless it has this feature right there. So if you're looking for something that'll breach into doors super easily, this definitely will do the trick much better than any Tomahawk with a head that is more flat than with this type of design, which Laci perfectly designed right there. Spike is absolutely just done correctly and perfect. What I mean by that is most spikes come very thin and kind of what we call tapered out. It does have slight tapering on the corners to make it much easier to produce this super sharp, super pointed, not sharp, super pointed spike right there. Because by doing so, you're leaving more meat of the steel on the spike right here. So thus you could puncture into tires to deflate and break windows without causing or reducing the possible chances of causing any significant damage onto your spike during this type of action. Though this doesn't have a blade, it still can't get damage. But by leaving more meat on the tip of the spike, it'll reduce the chances of actually breakage and any damage that this could suffer from is under its normal use of operation. The holes, the top hole here, first thing that came to my mind, for me at least, is for Fieldcraft application. If you need to process some wood to turn that into your pretty much candlestick or fire stick, you could easily do that from that. Or if you're grabbing some stick that you need to process into throw stick, you can simply do this to remove the outer layers to make and also to create that sharp point. This will be allowing you to easily do that. If you need to process something to make it even thinner, you can use the spike end obviously to stick it in a branch or something and just run wherever you need to through the blade, and that will do so just fine. As for those of you who are probably wondering, okay, that looks super cool, but does it have it doesn't look. Many of you guys probably saw this and said, man, this looks more like a Warhammer. Says, yeah, that is very much correct. But unlike a hammer, my dear friends, this thing does have a pretty decent edge. So it is sharp on the edge. So this is not a hammer. It is still a wonderful Tomahawk. As for the bottom, it has a nice pry bar that you could simply pry with without the worrying about anything breaking, and not to mention you have quite a bit of leverage because you could use the top T part as more of a controlling stick to leverage and knob turn whatever you need to. Really helpful if you're breaching, because if you do breach sometimes, as you guys know, one of the tricks, simple trick, will be to insert pop open like this on some doors, but some doors that's not possible. Other ways would be by curling, a trick that I learned from one of my brothers. Shout out to Guro Robert Pearson. Rob taught me this, and nice little trick, and I've been using this anytime I want to give a demonstration for breaching, and bro, thank you. It's been an eye-opener for many guys. Dude, how the hell did you do that? Because most of the times it's simply in turn just pop it off like this. Another way that I've been lately, especially for this, makes complete sense because I've been teaching you to do this by using the beard of a hawk that some of the guys have with a huge pry bar that literally cuts into the skin. Again, that on this is the reason why my Arabic's been kind of rusty, but it's ask the experience, not the learned. It's very important because, as you can see, because Laci has experience in using this, you'll notice that even in a full grip at the bottom, the pry bar doesn't make any contact with my wrist or any other parts of my hand that could possibly cause a cut, create a cut or injuries to myself during use. Problem with many hawks that are designed to look cool, but that does not have any good inputs from an actual user. The damn pry bar is too long and it'll literally dig into the operator's wrists. Even with gloves and clothes, it will still dig in, and because it's sharp, you cause self-injuries that way. So with Laci's design, you don't have to worry about that. Two, because there's that hole that I just showed you earlier, where you could use that for fast processing, you could use that and stick in as like a rebar or something, and when you're using this for breaching, to create them better fulcrum and leverage to pop whatever you need to pop open. So there's easy way to do that, and this thing does all. So highly recommend it for those of you who are looking for a hawk for breaching tasks and rescue, and not to mention something that you can use overall for self-defense and also great for fieldcraft. Like if you're going in the woods, just this hawk alone will do a lot of tricks that you need. I'll show you how you can process firewood and stuff, but if you need to process a log to create more pretty much woods for fire, you can grab this, stick it into the bigger log with a greater diameter, grab whatever the sticks nearby, hit the area that is not covered by the G10, and that's how you create and split a log without the fear of actually. One of the biggest issues with some hawks is that the G10 extend all the way to the head. Thus, when you do this kind of trick, I've seen G10 handles and micartas break, and wooden handles, oh jeez, they splinter off. It's not even funny when you see that. So there you go, guys. Now as for this, if you do use it for this type of application, it can be done. Like if you use this almost like Mr. Fred Perrin's Le Griff. It's very, I joke around when I was doing this morning, that I was telling Nate that on the phone. He says, dude, if you grip it like this, you could actually punch someone directly in the face with like a Le Griff, and it kind of feels like that too in many ways. But another way is to process it and use it in a karambit-like manner, which can be done, but again, get a karambit if you want to use it like a karambit, because that's what karambits are for. So that stuff out of the way, and handle, let's talk about that slightly. It is 3D printed G10 with sculpting, and this is perfectly done since I do sculpting from time to time in the past. I don't anymore because I don't have the Dremel tools, but if you have a Dremel tools, this is super easy to do. And what it does for you is, instead of having a flat handle that often cuts into your hand, this allows it to form to your hand like almost having and also without having the palm swell, it'll still actually allow you to grip and fill the void in your hand without damaging your hand on a regular basis due to whatever. But at the same time, it's super grippy, but when you do need to relinquish it, you just let it go, and it does. Just like what good grip should. It should stay in your hand until you choose to relinquish it, not because it's slippery or it's loose or tacky or whatever. So there you go. Now, since we've got that features out of the way, fighting method, which is what I am better probably known for. So fighting with this hawk is super easy because it's super balanced. It's not one of those hawk that it's too hard or difficult to swing due to its heavy weight. It is very maneuverable. So you can even do snap cuts with it easily. No joking around, but If you choose to do something like a back cut executed like a cat's on somebody's shoulders or subclavian, this would be a very devastating target to do so. Not to mention sticking in the ribs using the spike. It's vicious using the cat's paw and to the number 3 back cuts. So you could do many things like that if you do Comtech. Shout out to Uncle Jim. If you do plain just Floro fighting systems, number 4 executed with this, because of that terminating point, whatever, once it makes contact with the target, that's a fight ender right there. And my usual go-to Enganya will generate such a devastation with this hawk and his head. It literally would make the fight finish much faster. Whatever it contacts, it ends. So that's the main reason why I would often recommend a hawk for my students who are in service or was in service coming out and looking for something that they could have on their rigs. Why a hawk versus a knife is a knife may take more than 1 or 2 shot placement to subdue or neutralize the subject that is hostile. But with a hawk, generally this can be done with 1 shot placement because of its weight and the velocity and the fulcrum that is generated from the swing terminating onto one point, like on this hawk. It's a fight ender. Thus you could easily control the situation much faster than not. So there's that reason. Now talking about deployment here, since I know most of you guys are probably wondering, okay, how's it carried and how do you deploy it? I got a nice little system right here that I'm using Mr. Ortiz's method of jungle carry using a 550 cord. But as you can see, this sheath anchors to the head, so it's very secure. It won't come loose, come off until you choose to do so, and it will come freely very easily. And the reason why I like the jungle sling method carry on this one is because by doing so, carrying on the other strong side, it's like this, super easy, meaning I could run, I could climb, I could do whatever I need to. But when I do need it, all I need to do is basically just reference the skull bead lanyard, the skull bead right here, Szabo skull bead. That's translucent red. That's screaming, it is freaking awesome. Bro, you're an artist. Seriously, Laci, this alone is freaking awesome right there. But the hawk makes it better, and with this combined onto the sheath just makes perfect sense. So from here, you simply reference that skull. As you pull, you'll notice that your hawk will come up. You see that? And from here, you're ready to rock and roll. Like so. It's that easy, really well thought, really well done. So with that said, I would highly recommend for those of you who are looking for a new system, or for those, especially for those of us who after COVID, I personally had to go through this, and with the recent events, just made it worse quite a bit. I lost, give or take, about, I thought it was just less than that, but recently with the testing, I've noticed that more than 15% of strength and capability and mobility on my left arm has caused us quite a bit of issues for me right now. So for those of you who noticed that from my training and sparring, there's certain things that I no longer execute is because I simply don't have the means to do so, like physically. So because of that, if I was to use a knife on this hand in a fight, obviously I could still finish if I need to, but with something like this, I could get the job done much faster and much more at a higher performance than I would normally be capable of without it. What I mean by that is basically you could get the job done with 1 shot placement versus multiple shot placement, because this can end the situations much faster accordingly. So hopefully that gives you guys an idea on this, because I know that many of my own students have been asking about the Szabo hawks, because I've had hawks from Laci in the past, several different ones actually. I've had his super cool, like the tactical axe hawk that he crafted with just amazing design. It's kind of like this, but a bit more curved, and yeah, it's just amazing head. And not to mention, it has the attachment for a wrist lanyard that allows you to do faster snap cuts, and it actually had a quick draw leg sheath for it. So that was super amazing, and that was one of my favorites. I've also had Laci's traditional looking fighting tomahawk that was amazing also. And this kind of has a feel of both, but it's, first of all, it's something that you can use on multitude of situations and circumstances, meaning it's not one-dimensional. So I could use this for rescue, breaching, trade, fieldcraft. Tradecraft might be a little bit difficult, but technically it can be used for tradecraft if I do sneak the sucker inside the backpack and have this as a pack axe that's not seen and ready to go when I need to. So it can be can be for tradecraft, but fieldcraft definitely yes. For personal defense weapon, definitely. For shelter building, if I'm using this as a fieldcraft tool, I could easily use this to probably not chop down like a huge tree, but limbs I could delimb and process that to create a shelter easily. And with just this, and even with just the 550 cord I have here, I could probably process something for a small shelter to keep me safe and warm for a couple days at least. So yeah, this works in a multitude of applications and has a many purpose to it. So I would highly recommend it. And Nate, that's my thoughts on this. For those of you in service, you typically need a tool that you're going to be using. Nothing sucks more than having something that is a weapon and only has the features of a weapon that you can't normally use for anything else but for personal defense. This you can use to breach, you could use to rescue, meaning if somebody's stuck in a vehicle and they can't get out, if you happen to have this inside your trunk, you get this out, grab by the spike and start banging onto the window to break that and get the people out of there. This does have an edge, and there is a way to cut the seatbelt with it. You just have to be really careful because this also has a spike, but you could do that. In a certain situation where, let's say you're stuck in a firefight and you need to deflate the tire because nobody really likes getting shot in the fucking ankle. So if you decide to deflate the fucking tire to drop that slightly in elevation to create a better cover or stable platform to shoot whatever you need to from out of it or through it, then this can do that too. So many purpose behind this hawk that is not just for fighting. So transitioning from the head to the grips is super easy. It's not that difficult to do. Does it twirl, pluma? Yeah, fairly well, and it's good. There's that. Now, like any good tool, like a blade, you need a matching trainer. So for those of you who are in a market for looking for a hawk, but didn't want to get something that doesn't have a trainer that's matching it, so you could train realistically, this is a Vaults Training's custom Szabo Warrior Hawk trainer that is 1-1 matching. Shout out to Chris, you did a freaking amazing job, sir. This is amazing. To be super honest, I am going to be biased. I find Chris's work just to be perfect. I personally have my own one right here. Shout out to John for trading this back to me because I traded this a while back for something, and recently me and John, we recently did another trade and he traded this back. So thank you so much, bro. So I got mine, and Nate's gonna get his own, and I'll show you how well matching this is. So again, it's a 1-1. Obviously with the blade grind is slightly thin, but when you look at it from this perspective, it's a 1-1 matching. So there you go, guys. I hope you guys found this informational. If you guys are needing one of these or want to get one, highly recommend you contact my brother Laci Szabo at szaboinc.com. I will leave the link in the descriptions. And for training in using tomahawks, many different sources available, and keep in mind, anyone and everyone's a teacher, but certain systems have proven itself more and more than just often. So in that essence, if you're just looking for a system that's for close quarter conflict resolutions using a tomahawk for certain military applications, that could also probably give you quite a bit of insight into using this for breaching and fieldcraft and stuff like that. Highly recommend the following. Well, obviously you got yours truly, which is Floro Fighting Systems. Shout out to my teacher and my brother, Master Raymond Floro. Ray, how's it going? Ray will probably give you more knowledge than you could probably absorb on the matter of this, for not only just fighting